I recently realized something pretty crazy. I was paying for a Cloudflare account and literally just using it to run a basic tunnel. What a massive waste of potential, right? But then it hit me. That infrastructure, sitting right there doing almost nothing, could solve a huge problem I was having with my AI agents. So today in this explainer, I'm going to share the real story of how I took an underutilized Cloudflare account and turned it into an essential AI flight recorder, and how you can absolutely do it too.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with 1. Beyond the Cloudflare tunnel. Move to 2. The AI black box. Check out 3. Absolute security by design. Discuss 4. The phased integration strategy. Look at 5. Preparing for open source. And wrap up with 6. The future of AI ops.
Section 1. Beyond the Cloudflare tunnel.
So let me ask you directly. Is your Cloudflare account essentially just a basic tunnel while your AI agents are out there running completely blind? Think about it. When you're using agents like Codex, Cursor, Claude Code, OpenClaw, or Hermes, and they're running semi-autonomously, making decisions, writing code, you very quickly lose track of what they actually checked. And even more critically, you lose track of why they failed.
Because these tools run continuously, they're essentially operating in the dark. We desperately need an external flight recorder. Without one, I literally have zero idea if Hermes is still alive in the background or what OpenClaw is actively doing on my system. We're running these incredibly advanced tools, but with zero operational visibility.
Section 2. The AI black box.
That brings us to the solution. Now, I did not want some massive, bloated monitoring SaaS, so I built the agent Flight Recorder Mini. It's a small, secure, minimal black box. Your first instinct might be, hey, I'll just save all the logs. But actually, full logs are incredibly dangerous. If you just dump everything, you are absolutely going to leak secrets, API tokens, private URLs, Twitter drafts, and your full Discord conversation history straight into storage. Instead, we have to rely on short, safe state events.
To do this, we use Cloudflare Workers as our API entry point to route data straight into an R2 bucket. This is where redacted, raw JSON data gets safely stored into specific folders for things like checkpoints, Codex, gateway, and manual events. The key here is that the logs are entirely stripped of sensitive info before they ever come to rest.
And right alongside that raw storage, we've got Cloudflare D1, acting as a tiny, serverless SQLite database. While R2 handles all the raw JSON, D1 holds the searchable metadata for the project. So if you need to figure out why an agent just crashed 3 hours ago, you can query that metadata instantly and find the exact event.
Section 3. Absolute security by design.
But look, just recording data is only half the battle. The security rules here are absolutely non-negotiable. Only a simple get health endpoint is public. Everything else, posting events, getting events, pulling raw data, requires a strict admin token. The client actually hunts down and blocks bearer tokens, cookies, auth URLs, private paths, raw session IDs, and emails. If it detects a contains_secret true flag, the payload is instantly denied. I also set it up so secrets stay completely out of your shell history. Plus, to keep your main infrastructure totally safe, this makes zero changes to production DNS, tunnels, or zero trust. It was validated entirely on a workers.dev staging environment.
So what exactly are these state events we're saving? Basically, they're super short, highly actionable log entries. Things like checkpoint updated, heartbeat sent, smoke test passed, manual events sent, or task failed. By focusing purely on operational state, we avoid all that bloated surveillance, and we completely eliminate the risk of accidentally capturing sensitive prompts.
Section 4. The phased integration strategy.
Now, with the architecture totally locked down, how do we deploy this without breaking our fragile AI operations? Well, you definitely don't want to deeply couple a brand new logging tool into OpenClaw or Hermes right off the bat. So I started entirely on the outside, just a local health check, then synthetic events to test D1 and R2. Only after that did I introduce thin wrappers for checkpoints and heartbeats alongside an operator wrapper. And this is crucial. I built in client retries, spooling, and server-side deduplication. Why? Because if the logging request fails just from a random network hiccup, it absolutely shouldn't crash your main AI parent process. It's all about layering capabilities safely.
Section 5. Preparing for open source.
Once the tool was humming along locally, the final major hurdle was turning this internal personal tool into a clean, public, open source repo. I pushed to a private repo first, which gave me time to really clean things up. Because open source isn't just dumping your code online. It's about cleaning up and actually explaining your work. I meticulously ignored files like local ends and dev vars so that local secrets would literally never slip out into the wild.
We actually executed some very specific steps to ensure OSS safety. We went with an English-first README for global accessibility, keeping the original Japanese docs right alongside it. We added a security.md, an MIT license, and safe.env example files. And critically, we added a GitHub action running a publication check. That step actively prevents worker URLs, D1 UIDs, account IDs, or auth URLs from ever accidentally leaking into the public repo.
Section 6. The future of AI ops.
Pulling all this together, the Agent Flight Recorder Mini is exactly what it claims to be. It's a minimal black box, not some bloated SaaS product. It relies entirely on the free and low-cost tiers of Cloudflare. Now sure, in the future, for a true enterprise production setup, you'd want to add token rotation, access policies, and R2 retention policies to clean up orphan data. It could even integrate with AI Gateway, cron, dashboards, or GitHub issues. But for right now, it perfectly proves that this model works brilliantly for individual developers.
Which brings us to our absolute core takeaway for today's explainer. Cloudflare shouldn't just be a tunnel, it can be an external flight recorder. By utilizing Workers D1 and R2, you can take infrastructure you're already sitting on and solve a massive operational blind spot.
So, I want to leave you with this final thought. Are you going to keep just playing around with AI tools, letting them run totally blind, or are you ready to actually operate them with a secure, reliable trail? The infrastructure is literally sitting right there. It's time to build your flight recorder. Thanks so much for joining this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.